Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Total Biscuit. There are times when you know a game's going to be fairly terrible, and it usually involves the scream of hacker the first time you enter the server. It wasn't actually aimed at me, however. I'll demonstrate who in a second. Thought I'd do a little bit more Blacklight, because I've been enjoying this quite a little bit lately. I decided I'd go out of my way and buy myself the cloak, because I heard you could do funny things with the cloak. So the cloak is a tactical item. You can only have one of these. You use it, you can cloak, and then you can smack people with a hammer. Boop. Because why not? It seemed like a reasonable idea at the time. I rented the item called the Breach Hammer. Why? Mostly because it's funny. That's really the only reason I could possibly see for using a loadout like this at the moment. I'm not even properly equipped to do this. You unlock a second loadout slot at level 5, so I decided I'd pick up the combat rifle, the Burning Man pre-made. I rent this for 200 GP a day, which is nice and easy. There's the hacker, by the way. Don't worry, he gets some sweet, sweet justice momentarily. Even his teammate hates him, and oh no, he fell over. What a shame. And it's no longer part of the server, but there you go. It seems like they deal with that fairly well. Anyway, back to the point. Yeah, the Burning Man, pretty decent, actually. 200 GP rents you this every single day, so that's one good game or two not-so-good games. And this thing has incendiary ammo, which is nice. It's got a pretty decent scope, although not quite the type that I usually like. Still kind of getting used to it. This is the toxic burst fire pistol that you can get from the starter pack. It's called the Hazmat. I've got that permanently, which is quite nice. So a nice little hello. Okay, I can't hit him with that, but I can hit him with that. Not too much of an issue. Combat rifles are pretty good in this game, honestly. They have an extremely high amount of damage. Doing a headshot with a combat rifle can kill a lesser armored opponent. You'll need a couple in order to bring down a heavier armored opponent. Headshots do 200% damage in this game. This combat rifle does about, I think, 85 damage a hit. Consider that 200% damage is done on a headshot, and yeah, you'll be killing the weaker opponents in one shot. Fairly reasonable. This guy can't see me. Got my cloak on. If he turned on his hyper-reality visor, yeah, kind of like that, then he spots me. Thankfully, I'm able to get to him before he's able to hit me. Now, it's funny because there are some fairly viable melee-centric builds in this game, although they did nerf them somewhat. Like the beta had the breaching hammer have no cooldown. It didn't have to reload the way that it does. So you could just run behind someone, just a boop, 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 and then they all fall over. It was very, very silly indeed. Since you can build armor that allows you to go very, very fast, then it's fairly easy to get in nice and close and kill people with melee weapons. Boop. Nice and easy. It's a bit of fun, honestly. It's not what I call an effective loadout, but it's amusing. Cloak is, I would certainly say, one of the more potent tactical options. It's a fairly high-level one, and as a result, I ended up paying for it, because I thought, hey, why not? I'd like to give it a try just for the sake of it, and I certainly don't regret picking it up early by any stretch of the imagination. I think if I'm honest, the effectiveness of Cloak is going to go down as the game gets more advanced and people learn what the hell they're doing. Because, yes, while it's nice to be able to run around near invisible, the hyper-reality visor shows you up completely, so you can very easily be picked off, and it takes a while to switch back to your weapon while you're holding the cloak. It's not like you can run around cloaked with a gun in your hand. You've got to switch to the gun and then open fire, so there's prep time. Someone can react quickly enough, then it's easy enough to deal with you. The nice thing I like about Cloak is it lets you get into some advantageous positions. Like up here, for instance, I know for a fact that the enemy is surrounding that hack point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait so that the guy at the front gets taken out and then bring down the guy at the back before he gets a chance to spot me. Because, hey, why not? I've got a good vantage point here, and that means that the point has been secured for my team. Assuming they go down and hack it, I can go do that myself if I so desire. Always bear in mind that it is domination. You should be playing the objective, otherwise your team will absolutely lose, as we currently are at the moment. Not a problem. We'll play a little bit of catch-up. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's mostly my fault. I think I've been running around just hitting people with a hammer, which is not the most effective thing to do. Nice little shooting gallery. I definitely recommend the Burning Man as a good option for anyone that started playing the game because it is a very competent weapon. It can deal with pretty much anything. The only situation it's going to have problems with is, of course, close-range combat, in which case you do need some kind of reasonable pistol in reserve. If you're looking to rent one, either the Toxic Dart, the Hazmat, the Reaver, or the Vulcan, those are all fairly good guns. That's a mixture of kind of standard combat pistols and machine pistols. They do the job at close range. There is a shotgun body receiver that you can get, so you can actually create a shotgun of sorts, but there's only one pre-made, and it's only available as an award, I believe, from those random drop crates and bundles you can get, so not exactly ideal, but those weapons should do you fairly well at close range. Boop, there we go. How am I still alive? Why am I still alive? I have no idea. I think it's just because players don't know when to use the hyper-reality visor. Because otherwise, you're just incredibly vulnerable. We'll grab ourselves a Trident minigun, I think. One of the few things that I managed to get in one of my packs. I think this is just a 3-day trial version of the minigun. But this thing is a little bit monstrous, to say the least. Unfortunately, it is very easy to be picked off at long range if you're actually running around with this bloody thing. Would have made more sense to bring a hard suit out. The problem with hard suit and domination is you can't cap with it. Plus, I would rather just sneak around like an idiot. That sounds like more fun to me. The game so far has proven to be fairly reasonable. I think that if I were to make any changes, what I would do is reduce the overall GP cost for the majority of weapon-based items. I think that for armor, things are fairly reasonable for the most part. I mean, you only need 3 pieces of armor in total. That's the chest, the head, and the legs. So that's not too shabby, and your base armor is a decent baseline. If you want to specialize, then obviously you're going to be paying quite a bit GP-wise. But I think for weapons parts, like getting a scope and having to pay so much GP for a scope isn't really all that reasonable. I think they would be better off knocking that down because, let's be honest, you're not going to find a lot of people who are willing to pay $4 to $5 for a scope, which is what they're charging for on the microtransactions. I've always advocated this when it comes to microtransaction-based FPS. You have got to allow players to buy something and feel like they're getting a good deal. If I look at it and I've got my 2000 Zen and I look at the cost of a weapon and it's $10, I'm going to say, you know what, that's kind of dumb, I could buy a game for that. You're buying individual weapon components, I think the most you should actually be paying for it is $1. Either that, or if you want to keep those ridiculous Zen prices for some of those items, fine, but reduce the GP price so things are a little bit more in reach of your average player. There's no way to boost the amount of GP you get other than to actually play better, so you can't buy a booster or anything like that, so I feel that when you're being asked to pay 5,000 to 6,000 GP, a lot of folks are going to turn around and say, you know what, I really don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like a good idea at all. On the positive side, though, I think the sheer amount of little rental things you get, like every level you get a pack of stuff that's appropriate for your level, and it lasts for 3 days once you've activated it, that is pretty cool, honestly. I'm a big fan of that. I think that most people are very used to having a gun that they've unlocked and then sticking with it. But this isn't really a model that works when you just start playing this game. Unless, of course, you want to rent a pre-made. If you want a very specific gun of your own, it's going to take a while to put it together. From what I can tell, the only exception to this rule is the Burstfire SMG, which is currently only being given away in some kind of Twitter event by Zombie Studios. Not exactly a great fan of that form of distribution. The heavy assault rifle and shotgun receivers also require a certain level in order to unlock, but you can still buy the things for GP. Whoop. It would be rather nice to see consistency. I don't really see the point in, say, keeping a few of the receivers locked for higher levels when the vast majority are available at level 1. I don't really know what's going on there. It's not massively limiting, because at the end of the day, you've still got a hell of a lot of other receivers and can make a wide variety of different guns, but why limit those 2 weapons? That doesn't actually make any sense at all. That is not something that I'm really a big fan of. I'm still getting used to the idea that some of the items that I have on my character are actually going to disappear if I don't essentially renew the rent, which is a little bit odd to say the least. I have a customized revolver that I use, which has a ACOG sight on it because I need a fairly long-ranged, powerful punching weapon as my ult for my Downtowner SMG. So I picked that up, and I think I don't own the revolver, and I'm pretty sure I don't own the scope either, so I have to re-rent those every now and again. I think I just pieced that together from parts that I ended up getting for the level up bonus. It's weird. It's a very odd feeling. I don't think it's terrible, though, honestly. I think that it works fairly well. I don't really mind working with what I've got, and since I have one permanently, I can easily grab a pre-made for the cost of a single game, then it's not really all that worrisome. I'm not seeing huge balance problems with the game at the moment. Obviously, I'll keep you updated as I go through, because this is a game that I'm spending quite a lot of time with, so I may pop up an update and commentary every now and again on the subject of Blacklight Retribution. I think speed melee might be something I will try. Something nice and silly and cheesy, maybe speed melee cloak machete, something along those lines. It's going to take a little while before I could save up for all that stuff, though, so don't expect it anytime soon. I'll see you next time.